60 tips and tricks for the Pocket 3, no time for a big intro, a lot of information to cover, so let's start the show in 3, 2, 1. Back and then, oh. Okay. Mad as savage in me back and I'm back in it happening, ready to blow. I remember doing... Plug the battery handle into the Pocket 3 and use a dual USB-C cable. Plug one end into the mic 2, one end into the battery handle. The mic 2 and the Pocket 3 will start charging at the same time, and when the Pocket 3 is full, the battery handle will start charging straight after. When recording on the Pocket 2, you used to have a limit of about 4 gigabytes before it started splitting the clip. So let's say you had shot, a half-hour clip, that would be split into various different clips, which later in post you had to put together. Well, those days are gone, because now you can record up to 17 gigabytes on the Pocket 3 until it starts splitting the clip, which in my test is about 45 minutes of 4K video. So gone are the days of you having to glue all of your clips back together, because 17 gigabytes is the new limit versus 4 gigabytes on the Pocket 2. If it starts to rain, then you better take cover, because the Pocket 3 is not waterproof. Whilst you're recording, if you think the image is too bright or too dark, then you can swipe from the right and adjust the EV meter, which is great. You don't actually have to stop recording to dive into the deeper settings. You can just swipe from the right and adjust this meter accordingly. If you're having issues when viewing your video clips back on your computer, or when you import them into your video editing software and it's all a little bit glitchy, it may be because you're shooting in H.265 and your computer simply can't handle it. So try switching over to H.264, but if you do switch over to H.264, there will be some restrictions, and they include not being able to shoot in D-Log-M or HLG, and you can't shoot 4K 120 frames per second, so no high quality slow-mo. Oh, that was a bit weird. To do this, just swipe down from the top and go to settings, scroll down to video compression, and here you can change between H.264 and H.265. When you're in any of the menu screens, instead of using the arrow to go back, you can simply press the joystick once, which will take you back again, which will take you back again, and again, which will eventually take you back to the preview window. So you don't actually need to use the screen, you can just press the joystick, which essentially will act as the back button. Can you put the Pocket 3 back in its protective hard case with the wide angle lens still attached? Yes, but it does come with some things to note. So the first thing is that the gimbal head doesn't actually lock. So when the wide angle lens is taken off, the gimbal head locks in place once the whole device is switched off. But with the wide angle lens attached, it doesn't lock in place, so it is constantly moving around. The other thing is, when you do put it into the case, there's no way for the gimbal head to obviously switch in sideways like it would usually without it on. So the lens is actually facing out towards rather than facing in. It still does fit in the case, like I said, but the lens is facing outwards. So yeah, it's rubbing on the side of the case. But yeah, it just depends on how you want to store it. If you want to keep the wide angle lens on and put it in the case, you can. So I've been doing some tests. How long can you continuously record on the Pocket 3 until the battery completely runs out, or you get an overheating message and it stops recording automatically? Well, I'm going to read my test results from my phone because there's a lot of numbers and I don't want to get it wrong. So I did some tests inside and outside, because obviously results will differ based on the temperature and the environment. Yes, I did remember that. Oh no, don't undo typing. Oops. Yep. So I did test in 4K 25 frames per second, and I assume that 24 frames per second and 30 will pretty much be the same as this. So 4K 25 inside, I was able to record for 50 minutes continuously until I got a overheating message and it stopped recording. Outside, I was able to record for 153 minutes until the battery completely ran out, which is essentially 2.5 hours. So there was no overheating issues when it was recording outside. And in both tests, the screen brightness was at 60% because that makes a massive difference. I then did some tests in 4K 60. So 4K 60 inside, I was able to record for 16 minutes until it stopped and I got an overheating message. And again, that was with the screen brightness at 60%, and 4K 60 outside with the screen at 60. I was able to record for 114 minutes until the battery completely ran out, which is just under 2 hours. Didn't get any overheating issues on both tests outside. And just in case you're wondering what the temperature was outside and inside, outside it was 11 degrees and inside it was 21 degrees. So if you want to do a massive long continuous recording, there you go. Press and hold the joystick to lock the gimbal head, double press it to center it, and triple press it to spin the camera around. Hello. The Mic 2 has a very, very soft feeling wind muff. I actually prefer the feeling of it than the Mic 1, and I know you're not really supposed to stand here just rubbing your face with it, but yeah, it does feel pretty good. But if you want to keep hold of every single piece of fluff on here, then don't make the same mistake as I did and put the Mic 2 facing up like this inside the wash bag, sorry, carry case, because when you unzip and zip up the bag, the fur gets caught and it starts ripping out all of the strands, and before you know it, this won't be as soft because it will be bald. So you're out shooting and you've drained the battery handle and you don't have a power bank on you, but you do have an iPhone 15 in your pocket. Well, you can plug your iPhone into the Pocket 3 and use your iPhone as a power bank, but you can't plug it into the battery handle, because if you do, you get an accessory message on your iPhone saying that this accessory requires too much power. So you need to plug your iPhone direct into the Pocket 3 and you'll see it literally start charging. If you've got, let's say, 50% on your Pocket 3 and you think that you want to plug it into your iPhone to give it a little top up, but you've actually got less battery on your iPhone, let's say 40%, then what will actually happen is the Pocket 3 will start charging your iPhone. So if you do plug your iPhone into the Pocket 3, then make sure that the Pocket 3 has less charge than your iPhone, or else you're just using the Pocket 3's power to charge your iPhone when really you want to use your iPhone's power to charge the Pocket 3. Oh, and obviously this only works if you've got the iPhone 15, 15 Pro, Pro Max with the USB-C connection. Shooting in D-Log-M is obviously great, but it does come with a restriction, and that restriction is you're only able to shoot with it in normal video mode. So you can't shoot with it in low light mode or slow motion mode. So you're all excited, you get home, you put your SD card in the computer, you open up your files, you look at some of the videos, and they look like this. A vertical video that you actually shot horizontally. Well, don't panic, because that's happened quite a few times to me on this camera and on the Action 4. And just import them into your normal video editing software and then rotate it 90 degrees and bam, you're all good to go. At the moment I've got it set so when I spin the screen round and it turns on, it just turns on, but you can set it so when you spin the screen round and it turns on, it starts recording straight away. So to do this, just swipe down and go to screen rotate and capture and make sure you turn that on. You can then choose how you want it to start shooting when it turns on. So based on the last settings, video, low light, hyperlapse. So if I keep it on last settings for now and I turn off the whole thing and then I turn the screen around, you can see now when it turns on, it started recording straight away. So this is great if you want to, you know, get those quick action shots that you don't want to miss and faff around with that kind of couple of seconds when it turns on, pressing buttons. And then obviously when you flip the screen around, it will just turn off as normal again. You can use the Mic 2 to start or stop recording on the Pocket 3. Just press the link button once to start recording and press the link button again to stop recording. You can also turn on the wind reduction on the Mic 2 just by pressing the on button once and then press it again to turn it off, and you'll know you're in wind reduction because the LED light will be blue when it's off and it will be yellow when it's on. So at the moment I've selected my face to active track, which is going to keep it in the center of the screen even when I move the camera around, it will still keep me center. But let's say you wanted to move yourself to the left or to the right of the screen so you're not center, you can. So if I start recording and then move the joystick, you can see now I'm on the left side of the screen and it will keep me there. And if I move the joystick to the other side, it will take me to the right side and keep me on the right instead of in the center. So if you wanted to show everything else around you, rather than you being in the center, then you can just use the joystick and it will keep you either to the left or to the right based on where you move the joystick to. I forgot what I was going to say for this one. Oh yes, glamour effects. You're probably wondering what the hell's going on here. These are glamour effects to make you look nice and pretty. It gets me every time. It just gets me every time. I actually really want to see a video where someone uses them like seriously, because I just don't think you can. It's just quite extreme. But anyway, back to what we were saying, which was, if you want to apply these beautiful glamour effects to your clips, then don't be alarmed, because you can't actually preview them on the Pocket Freeze, which is why I keep looking over here to my phone. You can only see it on the preview on your phone when it's connected via the Mimo app. You can enable glamour effects and disable them on the Pocket Free, but you can't see or adjust them. So if you do apply a glamour effect to a clip like this, when you put the SD card into your computer to view this clip back, or you view it back on the Pocket Free, it will be without the glamour effects. So to get the clip with the glamour effects on, you need to go into the Mimo app and go to that clip that you enabled the glamour effects on, and you can download that clip from the Mimo app to your phone and then obviously send it over from your phone to your computer. And yeah, you could just do this all day on all your clips. Can you record internally using the internal mics on the Pocket Free and record on the Mic 2 at the same time, and essentially have those two different audio files, as in the Pocket Free using the Pocket Free mics and the Mic 2 using the Mic 2 mic? Yes, but to do it, you have to fully disconnect the two, so they're acting as two separate devices. So right now I'm recording on the original Mic 1, so I'm going to disconnect this and yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I'm now recording internally with the internal mics on the Pocket Free and using the Mic 2 internally as well. So I've disconnected the two devices from each other, and to do that, just hold down the link button at the top by the wind muff and you'll see that the LED will start flashing blue, because as soon as you turn the mic on and the Pocket Free on, they automatically connect. So to disconnect them, just hold down that link button and you'll see the LED starts flashing blue. That shows it's disconnected and you get a disconnection message on the screen. So now later in post, I've got my video file which has the Pocket Free audio attached to it, and I've also got the Mic 2's audio which is recording internally, that I can now plug the Mic 2 into my computer, and I have that file alone to be able to add over the clip as and where I want to. So by default, every time you turn the Pocket Free on, the gimbal head will face outwards, but let's say you're doing mainly vlogging shots and you want the gimbal head to face you every time. Instead of turning it on and then twisting the gimbal head round yourself all the time, you can go to the settings menu and go to gimbal startup direction, and you can see at the moment it's on forward. If you change it to backwards and then we turn it off, you'll see now when I turn it on, it will turn on with the gimbal head facing towards you, which means you're ready to start vlogging straight away. If you've noticed that every time I twist the screen round, it counts down from 2 seconds before it actually turns off. But if you wanted it to turn off straight away when you twist the screen, just swipe down from the top and go to settings, scroll down to rotate screen to power off. You can see it's on 2 seconds at the moment. If I change it to now, when I twist the screen, it will turn off straight away. If you don't want it to turn off straight away or count down from 2 seconds, you can go back to that and go to the bottom option, which is never. So now when you twist the screen, it will just remain on. Such a simple tip, but if you don't do it, some of your clips could be unusable, and that is cleaning your lens. Now I prefer to do it when the Pocket Free is turned off, because if you touch the gimbal head too much, you start getting messages left, right and center, and it starts shouting and screaming. So when it's turned off, the actual whole system at the top locks in place, but you can rotate the gimbal head slightly so the lens is facing outwards, and when you do that you can have access to the lens, which means you can, you know, give it a wipe. So make sure you wipe your lens before you shoot, because you don't want fingerprints and dust left, right and center, because like I said, it could be you get home, you view your clip and you're like, oh, hold on a minute, that's a fingerprint there. And that could be the difference between using the clip and not using the clip. At the moment I've got it set so based on the screen orientation is based on the orientation that I'll be shooting in. So for example, at the moment the screen is obviously horizontal, which means I will be shooting horizontally, and when I twist the screen around it means I'm now shooting vertically. But you can change that, so when your screen is horizontal you can still shoot vertically, and when your screen is vertically you can still shoot horizontally. So if we twist the screen back and swipe down from the top, you can see at the bottom the second one along, at the moment it's on auto. If I change it to landscape, which is obviously what we're in now, when I twist the screen around and press continue to stay on it, you can see that we're now still in landscape mode. So you can still shoot in landscape whilst the screen is essentially twisted round to a vertical position, and you can then change that to the vertical way, which means that now the screen is horizontal, you can still shoot in the vertical way. So yeah, but I have it on auto based on how I have the screen is based on how it will be shooting. So obviously at the moment it's horizontally, but then when I go into vertical, it will shoot vertical. If you're filming in a location like I am currently today, where you have to keep your eyes as much on the ground as the screen, so you know you don't step in any then turn on face track in selfie mode, and what that essentially will do is do all the work for you and keep you framed correctly inside the frame. It detects your face in this mode only, and selfie mode is where the camera is facing you and not the other way, and essentially you can move the camera around, you can, you know, look down or look to the side and double check you're not stepping on anything you don't really want to, and it does all the work for you. To turn this on, swipe from the top. The last option at the top on the right is your face track in selfie mode, and as soon as you start recording it will detect your face and bam, does all the work for you. Does the original Mic 1 work with the Pocket 3? Yes, but you need to plug the receiver into the Pocket 3, unlike the Mic 2, which connects directly to the Pocket 3. The Mic 1 does need the receiver plugged into the Pocket 3 for it to work. I've been using it throughout this whole video, and yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Just plug the receiver in, turn them both on, and it connects automatically. If you have the back microphone turned on the Pocket 3, then be careful when you're holding it that your finger doesn't keep rubbing against it. The microphone is this little hole here, or else you'll keep getting a microphone blocked message on the screen, and worse than that, the audio will be all like scrapiness, or like what's the word, muffled. Yeah, muffled, because your fingers essentially keep rubbing over the microphone. It's easy to do, especially when you don't have the battery handle or anything connected, because that's naturally the way that your finger sits. But yeah, just be mindful that if you have the back microphone on, then this is it here, so you don't want your finger going anywhere near it, or else when you come to watch your clip later, the audio is going to be a little bit weird. And to adjust which microphones are recording on the Pocket 3, you have to be in Pro mode, so swipe from the right and turn on Pro mode. You can see the little microphone at the top. If you press on that, and then at the bottom you've got directional audio. At the moment it's on front. If I press it, it goes to front and back. Press it again, it goes to all. So if you're not really needing to use the back microphone, then just keep it on front to save you getting any muffliness if your finger hits the microphone at the back. You don't have to twist the screen to actually turn the Pocket 3 on or off. You can use the record button. So to turn it on, just press the record button once like a normal button. You don't have to hold it down, just press it once and it will turn on. And then when it's on, to turn it off, just hold down the record button and it will all turn off. So I've turned a setting on now. See if you can guess and see if there's any difference to any of the clips that you've currently been watching today so far. I point the camera more towards the words on my hat and the words on my jacket. Well, if you haven't guessed already, everything is flipped because I've turned selfie flip on. Now, in the first ever video I shot with the Pocket 3, I had this mode turned on because I actually prefer the way it looks, mainly in the face, because essentially it looks exactly the same as you looking in a mirror, which is the way I like it to look. What I completely forgot it would do is flip everything else around you at the same time, i.e. words around you, landmarks around you, and let's just say there was quite a few comments that were asking why everything had been flipped round. So my tip to you, and somewhat if it's the biggest tip that you take away from this, is don't be silly like me and forget. If you turn selfie flip mode on, it's not just making you look better, because if that's the look you like of your face like it was for me, it's essentially flipping everything around you round to like a mirror image. So when someone's viewing the video, it does look a little bit weird, because when I watched it back after people had commented, I did see what they were saying, and yeah, hence why I've listened to the feedback and made some adjustments today. So yeah, you have the option to turn it on if you want, and yeah, it's there, but just be aware if you turn on selfie flip mode, it's not just flipping your face, it's flipping everything around you. And yeah, you might think I'm stupid for not realizing that's the case, but I generally didn't. It's not I didn't realize, I just forgot until it was too late, until the video was published and the comments started coming in. But yeah, selfie flip mode. If you think the joystick speed is too fast when you move it round, or if you think that the zoom is too fast when you zoom it in and out, then you can change this in the settings. Just swipe down, press settings, scroll down to joystick speed and play around with the number until you find your sweet spot. If you want to shoot a video for an Instagram post, then you need to make sure you're in the right dimensions. So when you're in video mode, swipe up from the bottom, and you can see in the top right corner you have got 16:9. If you press on that, it goes to 1:1, which is the perfect dimensions for an Instagram post. It does drop the resolution to 3K though, so you can't shoot in 4K in 1:1. But yeah, this is the exact dimensions if you were planning to shoot a video with the Pocket 3 to upload as a Instagram post. If you've got the Mic 2 with the Pocket 3 and you know you're done shooting and you haven't got your wash bag with you, sorry, carry bag with you, and you're wondering, well, where do I put the Mic 2? Because if I put it in my pocket, I'm probably going to lose it. Well, there is a designated space in the top of the case for place for the Mic 2 in the hard case. The only issue is the magnet that's attached to the back of the Mic 2 doesn't actually fit in place. Well, take the magnet off, get the Mic 2 and slot it in place at the top. Take the Pocket 3 out and you'll see you've got the wide angle lens section and the black mist filter section. Now I currently don't have anything in the black mist filter section, so I'm going to put the magnet and attach it to that and then put the Pocket 3 back in, and there we go. But I know what you're thinking, well, what if you do have the black mist filter? Well, in that case, then take the wide angle lens off, attach that to the Pocket 3's lens, put the Mic 2's magnet in the wide angle lens slot. Obviously you've got your black mist filter already in there, and the Pocket 3 does fit inside the case with the wide angle lens still attached. So put it back in place, and there you've got your black mist filter, your Mic 2 magnet at the top, your wide angle lens attached to the lens, and everything's snug in place. You can save custom presets, so if you don't want to keep changing between settings that you regularly use, let's say 4K 60, 4K 24 in different color profiles, you can save that. So you can literally just swipe down from the top, go to your preset menu, and you can see I've got two currently here, 4K 25 and 4K 60. So to save a preset, just make sure you've got the current settings that you want to save like active on the screens. At the moment I'm in 4K 30, which I don't have as a preset. So if I swipe down, go back to the presets, I can save this to custom 3, and you can see that those are the settings. Press confirm, and then now you can just literally go to your settings menu and select whichever one you want. And if you decide you don't want any more, you can just literally delete it off, or you can overwrite it based on the current settings that you've got. To activate the preset though, you don't go into the preset menu, you have to go into your shooting modes menu, and you'll see that if you go right to the beginning, these are the presets that I've saved. So when I click on C2, it takes me to that preset. If I go back and go to C1, it takes me to that preset. But yeah, you don't access them through the main menu. If you go into that now and you try to access it, all it will say is overwrite or save or whatever. So yeah, to activate it, you need to go into the shooting modes menu and you'll see them appear at the beginning. Let's say you've got the Mic 2 connected up to the Mic 3 and you're doing walking shots like this, where you might be going behind some trees or behind some bushes. Well, there could be connection issues between the Mic 2 and the Pocket 3, which you won't find out later until you watch the videos back, and then okay. Well, that's a test to see how that held up. Yeah, slight little mark on the side. Take 2. You may find that there are connection issues between the Pocket 3 and the Mic 2. Well, turn on audio to video sync, and what that will do is it will record internally to the Mic 2, so later on when you're watching the clips back, if there are any connection issues, you can plug the Mic 2 into your computer, grab that audio file off and sync it up. If you don't have audio to video sync turned on, then you don't have any backup recording internally in the Mic 2, and if there are any connection issues like with these shots where you're walking away, what will simply happen is the Mic 2 will disconnect from the Pocket 3 and it will start recording using the internal mics, which if I'm over here or over there, you might actually not be able to hear me. There's been a couple of occasions where the battery handle has drained battery when it shouldn't have really used any battery at all. When it's connected to the Pocket 3 and just sat on the side and both of them were 100%, I came back to it half an hour later and the Pocket 3 was still 100% and the battery handle was 92%. I came back to it 20 minutes after that, again hadn't used it, and the battery handle had dropped to 88% and the Pocket 3 was still 100%. So what I'm trying to say is if you don't need the handle connected to the Pocket 3, then unplug it when it's sitting on the side, because for some reason it seems like it's constantly working in the background, pushing charge to the Pocket 3, which is draining it from the handle, because it doesn't need to be, because the Pocket 3 was 100%. Can you use the Mic 2 connected to your iPhone? Yes, but be patient. What I mean by that is it took me ages to connect the two together. My iPhone just wasn't finding it, but eventually it did find it, and now every time I try to connect it, it connects straight away. So hold down the link button at the top of the Mic 2, and when it appears under the Bluetooth list on your iPhone, just simply press on it and bam, it's connected. You can then use the Mic 2 as an external mic connected to your iPhone. You can still access some settings whilst you're recording, so you can see now I've started a recording. If I swipe down from the top, some things are grayed out, but some things are still accessible. So you can adjust your screen rotate and capture settings, you can adjust the brightness, you can turn face track in selfie mode on or off, you can change the rotational speed of the gimbal, and you can change the gimbal modes. If you press the little joystick to the left, you can turn face auto detect on, your dynamic framing and your spin shot. And yeah, you can't change your shooting mode, obviously, you can't change your resolution or frame rate. But yeah, you can access some settings if you wish to do so whilst you're recording. How long does it actually take to fast charge the Pocket 3? Well, DJI say it takes 16 minutes to fast charge it to 80%. I did some tests and it took me 23.5 minutes to get to 80% and just over 30 minutes to get to 100%. Let's face it, connecting to the Mimo app is an absolute nightmare. But one thing that has helped me is if you go into the settings menu, scroll down to wireless connection and then scroll down to the bottom and press reset connection, you should find that that does help connecting the Pocket 3 to the Mimo app. Now you might need to do this a few times every time you have an issue, but I have found every time I do the reset and then try connect to the app, it works a lot faster than if I hadn't have done the reset. If you think some of the notifications are staying on the screen too long, then whenever they appear, just press on them once and they will disappear straight away. Don't try to take the SD card out of the Pocket 3 too quick after you've stopped a recording, because that recording won't be saved on the SD card because it will corrupt it. This might sound stupid and it might only be me that's done that, but even if I can help one or two of you not do the same thing, then my job is done. What I'm trying to say is as soon as you press stop recording and you take out the SD card straight away, it literally corrupts that file. So just wait like 1 or 2 seconds and then take the SD card out and the file will just be fine. When you're in the shooting modes menu, instead of swiping along the screen, you can simply use the joystick to switch between the shooting modes that you want. So when you switch to vertical shooting mode, your resolution drops to 3K from 4K. So let's say you were making a YouTube short or Instagram reel, whatever, yeah, you're gonna get 3K, which I personally think is fine for social media. But if you want to retain that 4K resolution and still have that vertical video, then don't switch into vertical mode. Get the Pocket 3 and hold down the joystick to lock the gimbal in place and slowly move it so the gimbal is now facing like this. And once it's in this position, take your hand off of the joystick, because if you keep it locked, then when you move, it won't move with you. I mean, if you want it locked, then obviously keep the joystick locked. But then you can literally walk along like this filming, oh, it's getting wet, walk along like this filming, so you still retain that 4K resolution because you're still shooting in 4K, you've just twisted the camera around yourself. When you're in any of the shooting modes, you can swipe up from the bottom and it will take you to the additional menu options. So I'm in video at the moment. Here's where you can change the resolution and the frame rate. If we switch over to photo and I swipe up from the bottom, you can change the aspect ratio or turn on a countdown timer. If we go over to low light, you can see the same thing happens, resolution and frame rate, obviously a little bit more restrictive. And then if you go over to slow motion, you've got your 120 and 100. And then if you go over to your time lapse and you swipe up, here is where you can switch between time lapse, hyperlapse and motion lapse, and obviously set the intervals. And then if you press in the top right, you can change the resolution and frame rate as well. But yeah, don't forget any of the shooting modes that you're in, you can just swipe up from the bottom and access the additional menu options. So you've shot some amazing high quality 4K video on the Pocket 3. You eventually are able to connect it to the Mimo app and you are viewing the previews and you're like, hold on a minute, well, did I shoot in 4K or did I shoot in like 2.7K? Why does it all look a little bit like, ugh? Well, that's because when you're viewing the previews on the Mimo app, you're not viewing them in the original resolution. So when you view it on the Mimo app, you are in fact viewing the previews in a low resolution format until you actually download those files. So don't think that you've lost that 4K beautiful quality. You haven't. You're just viewing things in a low res preview through the Mimo app. If you shoot a clip in the super slow-mo 4K 120, then the whole clip, when you watch it back, will be in slow motion. But what if you want a section of the clip to be played at normal speed? Well, once you import it into your normal editing software, just speed up the clip or section of the clip by 400% and it will play at a normal rate. But just remember that there's no audio attached when recording in 4K 120. Right, we're gonna do this very quick so Pocket 3 doesn't fall over. So you're out filming alone and you don't just want to do some standing shots like this, you want to make the shots look a little bit more, you know, have a little bit more movement in. Well, enable active track by just double tapping on the subject, i.e. in this example I've double tapped on me on the screen and it's now detected me, and wherever I go the camera will follow. So you can do, oh don't slip, so you can, you know, just do some walking shots like this. You can do some what other things can we do? Well, that's pretty much it, just walking shots. So come over here, you can go over here. Yeah, so you don't need someone operating the camera. Your friends don't want to come with you and film you, screw them. Turn on active track and it will do it all for you. But whatever you do, if you put it up like this, not like earlier, don't it be in a windy place because it will just fall over, and now there's a mark on the side, so yeah, be careful. How long does the battery last in a real world test until it actually completely runs out and you have to plug it in? And when I say a real world test, I don't mean continuously recording, I mean actually using the device to change settings or preview recordings that you've just done and then press record and stop record and turn it on and off, like those type of things, not just literally recording time. Well, I got just over 2 hours, but that was with the screen brightness at 60%. When I changed the screen brightness to 100% and I was doing somewhat of the same kind of usage where you're recording and previewing and changing settings and stuff, I only got 1 hour 20 minutes before I had to connect the battery handle, or else it would have cut out. So decrease the screen brightness, obviously to an amount that you can actually see the screen, but you can see from me going from 60% to 100%, I've essentially gained just over half an hour more battery on the Pocket 3. The day after I got the Pocket 3, I got a new firmware update message, and included in that firmware update was the option to make image adjustments, so you could adjust the noise and the sharpness. Now that wasn't available when I took it out the box. So what I'm trying to say is, if you want to be able to adjust the noise and the sharpness and you can't find it anywhere in the settings, then make sure your firmware update is up to date, because when it came out the box it didn't have the image adjustments until adjustments until I updated the firmware, and now I obviously have those adjustments. On the right side of the screen you can see that there's this little slider button. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but yeah, there's like a little slider button here. So at the moment, if I slide it up and slide it down, you can see that it is just rotating the gimbal head up and down. If I press on it once, you can see a 1x appears, which means that now when I slide it up and down, it acts as a zoom. But this works in conjunction with the joystick. So at the moment, obviously I've got the 1x on this little slider on the screen, like I just showed you, we're using that as the zoom. If I use the joystick, you can see now the joystick is moving the gimbal head up and down and left and right. If I press on that little slider again to take that 1x away, now when I use the joystick and press it up and down, it zooms in and out, but it still does turn the gimbal head left and right. So the way to think about this is, this does the opposite of that, but also the same, because you can always use the joystick to turn the gimbal head left or right. But if you've got the 1x appearing on the slider, then it means that the joystick is being used to turn the gimbal head up and down, and you use the slider to zoom in and out. But if you haven't got the 1x on there, then it means you're using the joystick to zoom in and out, and it means you're using this slider to turn the gimbal head up and down. To access all of the additional settings like the shutter speed, the ISO, the white balance, and even the color profiles like D-Log-M and HLG and all of that, you need to be in Pro mode. So swipe from the right of the screen. At the top you'll see a little box that says Pro. Press on that. When it turns to yellow, it means you're in Pro mode, and you can now adjust all of those settings. But if you're filming outside or in a bright environment and you adjust the shutter speed to the 180 degree rule, everything will look way too overexposed, so you will need to use ND filters. So you've shot some clips with the Mic 2 connected to the Pocket 3, you've listened to them back and you think that the audio levels are just a little bit too low. Well, when in Pro mode, you can press the little Mic 2 button next to the exposure shutter button at the top, and you're now in the deeper settings of the Mic 2, which you can now adjust the gain levels. And when you don't have the Mic 2 connected, you can just press on the microphone button again, and you're now into the internal microphone settings where you can turn on wind reduction or turn off wind reduction, and you can adjust the directional microphones on the Pocket 3. How long does the battery handle take to fast charge? Well, in my tests, it took 36 minutes to get to 80% and 50 minutes to get to 100%. In my opinion, the battery indicator on the screen of the Pocket 3 isn't accurate, as in it's so small that when you have more battery, it actually displays that you have less battery than you do, i.e. if you've got, let's say 60%, it actually looks like you've got 40% because the indicator is so small. So to check the exact battery level, just press on the battery indicator on the top of the screen and you'll be able to see the exact percentage. And when the battery handle is connected, when you press on the battery indicator, you're able to see the current battery of the battery handle and the Pocket 3. If you think the movement of the gimbal head is too fast or too slow, so let's say you wanted to do a more cinematic video, or you were doing like a bit more of an action video, you can adjust the gimbal head speed. So this little person at the bottom is the rotation speed of the gimbal head. At the moment I have it on slow, which is pretty much what I have it on most of the time. You can speed it up a little bit to default, or you can speed it up to fast. So you see when I put it on fast, the gimbal head is moving really fast based on how I'm obviously moving it. If I bring it down to default, you can see now it's not as fast, but it's not the slowest it could possibly be. If I bring it down to slow, then you can see now when I adjust it, it takes a little bit longer for it to actually reach the end point of where I'm actually moving the camera itself. So yeah, so if you're doing like more cinematic videos, keep it on slow. If you're doing walking, I keep it on slow even when I'm walking. But I guess if you're doing actiony type stuff and you want that faster effect, then you can change it to fast. But yeah, this is where you change it and adjust the rotational speed of the gimbal head if you think it's too fast or too slow. So you've got loads of USB-C cables at home, the Apple ones, the other ones you bought from Amazon, and you've plugged the Mic 2 in, you've plugged the battery handle in, you've plugged the Pocket 3 into some of these leads that you've got lying around the house, and you've noticed that the charge is just not charging. Well, I've noticed that when I use non-DJI USB-C cables, especially with the Mic 2 and the battery handle, it can be touch and go whether they work straight away. They do work, it has worked. I've not got a cable that doesn't work, but sometimes I have to like unplug it and then plug it back in and then unplug it and then plug it back in for it to like recognize it. I don't know. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is save the faff. DJI provide these USB-C cables in all of their devices. So where you can, just go to use them straight away, because I've never had any issues with using those cables that come inside the box. The face track in selfie mode only works in the normal video mode. So if you're in low light mode and you swipe down from the top and you see that the face track mode is grayed out and won't let you activate it, that's why you can only use the face track mode in video mode. If you want to shoot 4K 120, which is the super slow mode, then you can only shoot it in horizontal mode. So if you switch it into vertical, it will simply not allow you to shoot in vertical. You have to be shooting horizontally for 4K 120. You can use the Pocket 3 as a webcam. Just simply plug it into your computer, select webcam on the screen, open the application that you're webcamming on your that you're streaming, that you're calling on your computer, and then your Pocket 3 is now acting as the webcam. And there you have it. Just remember that your results in some of the tests that I've done may differ slightly, but you can use my results as a rough guide. That was a lot of words, so I'm going to go and get some water, but let's hang out in the comments below and you'll see me very soon.